This is going to be a little video about Hitman Absolution. So Hitman Absolution is one of my favorite stealth games, and yeah, so like I'm almost at a 1K, right? So please, continue, like, share, subscribe to the video, and yeah. So, and I check out my most recent video. So what I love about Hitman Absolution is the different options that I can take in the gameplay, right? As you approach different situations differently. So Agent 47, you are the ultimate assassin hitman, right? And there's gonna be different targets across different levels. There's a certain targets for example, some targets they're trying to take you out. You have to take them out first, right? And or some sort of target that you have to subdue for information. So for example, right, the different options, like I said earlier, so you can poison like a target, explode something near the target, create like some sort of shock trap, and yeah. Now there's lots of different ways so you can approach it, right? It is very much about the different alternatives, right? And yeah, how you play the game is up to you, right? And so literally the different ways that you do it, it's literally tracked. So it's tracked, as well as disguises, right? So it is tracked on this challenge list, and the more ways, the more times you replay it, doing it different ways, and the more of these challenges you unlock. There are some, for example, there are some ways to take out a certain enemy. For example, you can push them off like a ledge. You can trap them in like some sort of explosive trap. Right? You can also snipe enemies. You can use your silenced pistols to take out enemies. You can use, debris traps to take out enemies, make enemies fall to their death, and yeah. Right, there's one of my favorite ones to do is, I don't know why some characters are dumb, like they take a piss near like an electrical panel, and you can't activate it and trap it up. So, this literally shocks the enemy to death, right? And it is just so satisfying. You can even put in, like in the gameplay, you can put sleeping pills in like, weird stuff like cooking pots and pizzas, and the main target comes to eat it, and then they literally get knocked out. So lots of ways, right? A gas station, explosions, right? Lots of ways to take out the different targets like in the game. So as well as targets, so you have many different targets. You also have disguises. So disguises, that's a big part of the game too. So Agent 47, right? He's able to take on disguises, right? So a policeman disguise, right? Some sort of a civilian disguise, a fireman disguise, a judge is even a judge disguise. So many disguises. Agency soldier disguise, right? And yeah, there's even a chicken suit disguise, and yeah. Now disguises, they're specific. Some of them are specific to certain levels, right? And you can't take every disguise, right? So let's say like if you take somebody out, right, and knock them out, you can't take the disguise of every single person. For example, there's like a fat cop, right? But you can't take his disguise, right? I don't know, just because of the size difference, and yeah. So the disguises are a way for you to, it is a stealth game. So as you move throughout the levels, right, you're moving through the disguises. You're less likely to be seen. So disguises that themselves, right? There's lots of disguises, and they are tracked on the challenge meter as well. So, the more disguises you find, the better overall you are, right? I find though, it is best like when you play the game, find as many disguises as possible, right? It's gonna take you more time, right? And I think there is a trophy achievement where if you find all the disguises in the game. Some secret ones are in hidden areas, like the tailor, the chicken suit disguise, which is in the tailor, right? So he's a guy that makes your suits, and you go to him briefly, like for like 1 minute, and you can go downstairs, find the disguise, and yeah. So as well as the disguises themselves, they're not enough to fool enemies, right? So you gotta use instinct, right? So let's say if you're, you take on like an agency, some sort of, soldier uniform, right? or some sort of agency at security, and like another at security sees you, they're gonna know something is up, that you're not that person. So you gotta use instinct, right? So you literally, it's just a way for you to kind of blend in, right? And it's easier to do stuff, right? Disguises as well. So like with you, along with your disguises, as you use instinct, you can track the movements of certain targets, right? Track at their path and making it easier for you. And yeah, every person, for the most part, every person you knock out, right, or take out, you can take their disguise. Moving throughout the game, right, so like I said before, instinct is very important, right, but the stealth and mechanics are very solid in how you go from, in how you take cover, right, the shooting and mechanics are there. Right now, again, this is a ps3 360 game, so it's gonna be outdated. So if you play it now, some of the shooting mechanics are gonna feel outdated, but the stealth and mechanics, they feel very good. Snap into cover, you grab somebody, subdue them, right? In terms of the level design and, the disguises, so, certain areas are blocked off, right? So enemy areas like security areas or, police areas, so you can't go into these areas like in the game. Now, depending, like on how you play, right? If you want to rush through certain levels, which I don't recommend, right? Because you will die quickly in like a firefight. Now, in terms of the level design, right, you want to avoid these areas unless you're in a certain disguise, right? So, for example, the laboratory facility, right, where if you're in a certain scientist hazmat suit, you have more access to more areas, right? And yeah, so the level design, you can go into vents, making it easier, right, to go like to secret rooms. You can go up ladders, you can climb up ledges, right, making it easier. And basic stuff like going upstairs to a higher level to see the area easier. And yeah, there are some areas where it is very tight, a tight space, and you wanna get the least amount of exposure from the enemy as you can. And yeah, now it is very much a stealth game, right? So avoid detection. And I'm not sure now the score of the game, right? The score of each levels, right? So you get points for doing things better and not getting alerted, right? So in terms of points, I'm not sure if you get more points for doing the level faster, right? And yeah, no, there's only probably, I don't know how many levels there are like in the game. I think there's probably 18, 19 different levels. Some of them are super quick, other ones are longer. And yeah, I played the game many times over the years, so I'm very familiar with it. I'm very familiar with the levels, right? But going back to the level design, you want to experiment going different pathways to see what leads to what's the easiest route and pathway towards your objective. And yeah, some objectives is literally just get from point A to point B. You don't have to take out anybody. You don't have to kill anybody. You just get from point A to point B without getting detected in the game. And yeah, plus as well, in terms of objects and interactables and weapons that you interact with in the environment, hammers to screwdrivers to scissors to your garrote rope to even cable wires, fire extinguishers. So many different tools I can use and they make for stealth and taking out certain enemies. And yeah, there's in terms of stuff like I believe it is tracked as well. So the objects that you find, so the more objects that you find in the world or use, the more challenges you're gonna unlock, right? And you're more likely to get like a trophy. So in terms of difficulty and trophies and extra stuff, so difficulty wise, it gets hard if you play the hard difficulty, where you get no instinct, so you have no way to hide from the enemy in plain sight, right? The easier difficulties is that you have more instinct and it's a lot easier, right? It's just that you get detected a lot faster. It is very, if you play the game over and over and over again in levels, you get familiar with the paths, the shortcuts, right? The different shortcut routes, like for example, going into vents, which takes you into secret areas. And yeah, so the more you play the game and the better off you are and the more familiar you are with it. But hard difficulties, man, it is crazy. But if you like hard games and difficult challenges, I can recommend it. So in terms of like trophies in the game, you'll get lots of trophies in the game. I never got platinum, but I got lots of trophies. Now, the trophies in the game, they're linked back to the challenges, and a very easy trophies to have to get is, finish the game, right? So you play at the levels out, and then each level that you finish the first time, you get like a trophy. It's best to replay levels and, do different approaches, alternatives, and then see how differently it turns out, right? And per each target, so it takes a long time and it gets earned trophy. So per each target, there'll be like, for example, one target, there'll be 5 or 6 different ways you can kill at that target, right? Now it depends, right? It depends how much patience that you have with it and how much you enjoy stealth games. I'm not very good at stealth games, but this one I really enjoy, right? So, I can really get through it more and replay it more. It has high replayability, very high replayability. You can also do contracts, which is a multiplayer thing where you track. I believe it's, back in the day, it doesn't work anymore because the servers are down and it's an old game, but you could track other players. Other players come on and it's like, you gotta find them first, something like that, right? And you can always track the list of challenges and, completions. So how many outfits you found, how many weapons you found, objects you found in the world, how many alternatives and approaches you did, and So our stuff, visually too in the game. The game looks very good for a PS3 standards. This is a PS3 360 game, so it's not gonna look as good as games now, but still, it looks nice in the lighting and the character design, and some areas look pretty realistic, and in the lighting, the shadows areas, and the story, like I said before, the story, I don't want to give away like any spoilers, but it's an older game, right? So Hitman Agent 47 betrays the agency over some conspiracy that's going on, right? He has to save this girl, this special, girl with some sort of genetic experiment, something like that. And there's like at the agency, then there's Dexter Industries, right? So you have he has to kind of track while simultaneously run away like from the other, and the story is very much, it is very simple, right? But so I highly recommend it. I highly recommend this game. I don't know about pricing of this game, so it is a PS3 game, probably $7 to $15, right? Depending, again, it depends where you're located, right? It just depends, but and as well as your currency. But it is a solid stealth game. If you like stealth, I recommend looking into it. So please like and subscribe. Thank you.